One day wear a conservative sort of pantsuit or whatever, or cover up, and then the next day you can wear a mini skirt and thigh-high boots if you want. I think it depends on your mood.
Ariana Grande is one of the most beloved musical acts in the world right now for many, and yet she's not immune to having embarrassing moments happen to her. Join me as I show you 8 of them.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
8. The many relationships of Ariana Grande.
Oh my God, hello. What is this? What's that part? That's so hard.
While it's true that Ariana Grande is a beloved singer, she's had a lot of turmoil in her personal life, especially when it comes to some of the men she dated. Now, sure, this kind of drama is somewhat standard in the life of a star, but with Grande, well, let's just say it's taken many shapes and forms that don't exactly fit the norm. Over the course of her career, she's had 4 big-name boyfriends. Some she met on stage at her concerts, others were because of her fame. But one way or the other, they all ended, sometimes in rather traumatic fashion. Mac Miller was the relationship that most fans knew her for, as it was actually a long-lasting one, going over 2 years. The two were clearly in love, and that's to be praised. But the problem here was that though they were there for each other during the worst moments of their lives, they were also the cause of some of the worst moments of their lives. Their relationship was dubbed both rushed and toxic. And while Ariana defended Mac Miller for a long time, and for some parts of it for good reason, it didn't change the fact that things were bad, very bad, and they needed to change, and soon. So eventually she broke off the relationship. Quite suddenly, in fact, and on social media, which was even more surprising. Some fans were shocked, but this was her decision, and it was the right one. An abusive relationship needs to be gotten out of as soon as possible, and though she didn't do that, she eventually did get out. And she defended herself when people criticized her for the decision. But that's when things got a little weird. You see, not long after her breakup with Mac Miller, she met a guy on Saturday Night Live named Pete Davidson. Their relationship started out just being friends, but then they cemented their love with tattoos and more, and they did it in record time. Never a good sign. Fans and critics were quick to comment about this as they noted the similarities between the two relationships, even noting that it wasn't smart for Grande to rush into how she feels about these things. Grande again bit back, as did Davidson. She even sang about these things in some of her songs, basically telling people to back off about her love life, which is fair in context. But in June of 2018, the two got engaged, which meant that they got engaged about a month after Grande had dumped Mac Miller and met Davidson. This never ends well, and yet Grande and Davidson were all for it. Then, however, September 7th, 2018, Mac Miller passed away. The effect was large on Grande, for though her relationship with him wasn't the best, it wasn't entirely the worst. He was there for her during the moment when she felt the lowest, and she remembered that. Her thoughts on him passing were very emotional, and it likely jolted her back into reality in regards to how things work in regards to love. Then, on October 15th, Grande and Davidson called off their engagement and their relationship. It was sudden but definitive, which is good because it was after this that she seemed to get her head on straight in terms of what love means. It was after this that she made her song Thank You Next, arguably her biggest song ever. In it, she sang about her exes and what they taught her, but also noted that she was fine being single, which is to be praised. While this may not seem like a set of embarrassing moments, you need to remember how passionately she tried to defend herself and her boyfriends, only for the relationships to dissolve in various ways, and for her to come out looking like a fool. Relationships are messy, folks, and that's the truth. 7. The Ellen Trip.
Did you think it through? Because it seemed like you were a little out of breath.
It was definitely tiring, but I was like, you know what? It's worth it. I need to be on a bike.
2018 was definitely one of the best years for Ariana Grande in terms of her music career. For despite a lot of personal issues, she had arguably one of her most famous songs ever come out late that year with Thank You Next. which I just went over. Not long after the song came out, she went on to The Ellen Show to perform it. Given what was going on in her life at the time, Grande was very emotional as she sang the song. Many noted that her emotions were all over her face, and that at times it had seemed like she had mere moments before breaking down in tears, which happens and is not to be chastised, but what many remember from the performance, though, was that during her routine, she stepped onto a chair to sing a section, and when she came down off it, her boot got stuck, causing her to trip and nearly fall to the ground. Grande was so stunned that she had to stop singing and spoke regularly because of the shock. She played it off quickly, though, and got back into the groove with her dancers. Ironically enough, because of the slip-up and that this was a taped show on daytime TV, Ellen offered her a chance to redo the performance. But instead, Grande stated that she didn't mind the slip-up being visible because it made it more real. And that it did. Sometimes an embarrassing moment can show us a lot about a person's character. 6. The Lemon. You may not think about it, but when a person goes on stage to perform in any way, they're putting themselves at risk. No, really, there are hundreds if not thousands of people not too far out of reach of the singer or performer, and thus things can happen. At Coachella 2019, Grande was coming out on stage when someone out of nowhere threw a lemon at her and actually hits her in the chest. Now, to her credit, Grande kept moving, so clearly it didn't hit her too hard. However, it did affect her singing temporarily, and when the crowd noticed, she straight up told them that one of the people in the crowd threw a lemon at her. After this was made known, the crowd turned in support of Grande, and when the news of this reached backstage, many other people, including fellow singers like Billie Eilish, sent out messages of support while also condemning the person who threw it. Eventually, Grande laughed off the whole affair, but this is most definitely something that isn't tolerated. The singer should be respected on and off stage. Also, why throw a lemon? Was it symbolic? And what made them think this was a good idea? Could it have been a hater or some rabid fan? The world may never know. 5. Burning down the stage.
It's equality. It's not about being above men, it's about being equal to men.
Pyrotechnics on stage is something that a lot of people do, and though it's dangerous, it's usually very contained. But accidents do happen, and when they do, someone can literally get burnt, which almost happened to Ariana Grande, ironically enough, during one performance. For real. When did this happen? It was back in 2017 during her Dangerous Woman tour, and ironically, it was during the song Dangerous Woman. The performance had her wearing an all-black attire and also having fire come out of the stage. The opening bit featured Grande rising up from the floor, and she was to drag her mic stand along the floor to her next position. The problem, though, was that it got stuck in the stage. So she tried to pull it away, yet she couldn't. So she had to focus and pull it out of where it got stuck. Why did this matter? Simple. If she had left it there, or if she didn't get that mic stand out of the way in time, the fireworks for the event would have gone off at that exact spot, which meant she would have been lit on fire. The footage itself shows she was seconds away from disaster, and while she kept her cool, pun intended, and kept singing, I bet she was breathing heavily when she went off stage. 4. My knee! Singers and performers don't get enough credit for doing all their routines on stage. They have to do all sorts of stuff while singing and keeping their balance in order to not hurt themselves. And sometimes it just can't be helped, like during Grande's honeymoon tour a few years back. She was performing her song Bang Bang on stage when she tripped on stage and smacked her knee. Thankfully, this was but a small thing and it didn't stop her from singing. In fact, she actually looked like she was going to burst out laughing because of the goof. Many attribute this to her somewhat inexperience at the time, while others note that her attire wasn't exactly the best to be doing certain things on stage. Either way, she recovered, but it's a slip-up that was noticed by many. Embarrassing. 3. My shoe!
To my fans who aren't out of the closet yet, I love you and you do not have to rush.
If you think about performers like Grande, Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, and more, you know that their outfits are very much a part of the show, which is fine, except that during one performance, Grande came out in a dress and outfit that wasn't fastened enough in regards to her shoes. So when she came out and started to perform, she had a little too much pep in her step, and not only did she strut on the stage, she literally kicked off her shoe into the crowd. Now, thankfully, the crowd was very generous and they gave her back the shoe, and she had to break character in order to thank the person who got her the shoe back. But clearly, that wasn't something that Ariana Grande thought she was going to do that night. You also have to wonder who was more shocked, Grande or the person who found themselves with her shoe. I'm just saying. 2. Technical difficulties. Most people don't appreciate what happens behind the scenes at a show because while the singers and dancers are entertaining you in front of your eyes, your ears are listening not just to them, but to the people who are running tech to make sure the singers can be heard. But sometimes there are mic issues and it's very noticeable. That happened to Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj at Coachella 2019. This event did not seem to like her. The two were doing a duet when suddenly their earpieces went out. Why was this important? These particular earpieces were meant to filter out the sound of the open area so that they could hear the band and their own voices to know that they were on time and on key. So with them gone, they were literally singing without knowing cues or other sounds to keep them in check. True to their fame and skills, they did try to keep going. Minaj continued with the song while Grande tried to signal the people in charge that they couldn't hear anything. Yet, when it was clear that wasn't going to work, she tried to help out Minaj with the vocals because she was seriously offbeat. The performance definitely suffered, and if you watch this one in repeat, you'll see where it went off the rails. Sure, it's not Grande or Minaj's fault, but you have to wonder what would have happened if they had just stopped and got the tech working again before continuing on. 1. Slipped on confetti. At this point, you have to wonder if the stage just doesn't like Ariana, given that it keeps trying to hurt her. For example, during a performance for iHeartRadio in 2014, during their Jingle Ball, the stage struck at her in a rather weird way. She was singing Love Me Harder when she suddenly slipped on a piece of confetti. No, really, this caused her to slightly shift back, but she caught herself before she fell. In honesty, it would have looked like a harmless thing, but Grande actually stopped singing and said to the crowd, "I almost died up here." Not the most subtle thing to say on stage, and though she laughed it off, this was one mistake where she could have just played it off more easily than the others. And let me just say, that must have been some really slick confetti. So, what did you think, everyone? Did you know about all of these embarrassing moments of Ariana Grande? Which ones did you think were the most embarrassing? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.